I chose the poem Her Kind by Anne Sexton. Her Kind was written not long after she began writing poetry and was published in 1960 in her first volume, To Bedlam and Partway Back. Anne Sexton was born in 1928. She had a hard childhood and some say she was even abused. In 1954, a year after she gave birth to her first daughter, she was diagnosed with postpartum depression and hospitalized. In 1955, she was hospitalized again and attempted suicide for the first time. In 1957, she began writing poetry at her doctor's suggestion. Her poetry helped her fight her depression for many years, but at the age of 46, she committed suicide. I have gone out, a possessed witch, haunting the black air, braver at night. Dreaming evil, I have done my hitch, over the plain houses, light by light. Lonely thing, 12-fingered, out of mind. A woman like that is not a woman quite. I have been her kind. In the first stanza, the speaker describes herself as a possessed witch with 12 fingers. In most societies, this woman would be an outcast. She is different than the norm, therefore she is evil. She also comes out at night, so she doesn't have to face the normal world and be criticized by them. She flies over the normal people's houses and has evil thoughts about those inside. She is not ordinary, and she is lonely in an ordinary world. I have found the warm caves in the woods, filled them with skillets, carvings, shelves, closets, silks, innumerable goods. Fix the suppers for the worms and the elves, whining, rearranging the disaligned. A woman like that is misunderstood. I have been her kind. In the second stanza, the speaker describes herself as a mother figure who has taken up dwelling in a cave in the woods. She fills it with all the things that are commonly seen in a household: cooking utensils, clothing, and objects to help with storage. She cooks for and feeds everyone in the household. She also fixes small issues that pop up around the house. Despite her ordinary life, she is still the same person from the first stanza and isn't ordinary, but she's still expected to lead an ordinary life, and because of that, she is misunderstood. I have ridden in your cart, driver, waved my nude arms at villages going by, learning the last bright routes, survivor, where your flames still bite my thigh, and my ribs crack where your wheels wind. A woman like that is not ashamed to die. I have been her kind. In the final stanza, the speaker has been outed as different. Because she isn't ordinary, she is tortured by society. However, she isn't ashamed of her differences because she has been true to herself and lived life how she wanted. The biggest theme that I got out of this poem was that women shouldn't be ashamed because they aren't seen as normal by society's standards. This is backed up by the extremely vivid imagery, extended metaphor, and many other lit devices seen throughout the poem. As I said a few seconds ago, the imagery in this poem is extremely vivid. Because the imagery is so thought out, it's difficult to look past it and see what it's supposed to represent. The image of the witch and her actions easily shows that she's different from the rest of society. The diction also plays a huge part in showing how different the speaker is. Using phrases like 12-fingered and out of mind suggests that the speaker isn't just a little different, but would be considered a complete outcast in standard society. The diction also helps set the dark tone with words like evil and possessed. The tone helps to assert how strange she is, while also showing the speaker's own thoughts on herself. The first two stanzas are filled with hopeless diction, but there's a shift in the third stanza. It's still filled with the dark imagery and diction, but now there's a few more hopeful words, such as survivor and bright. This suggests that the speaker was possibly ashamed of her differences in the first two stanzas, but in the third has accepted and embraced her differences, despite society's treatment of her. Another part of the poem that asserts that women shouldn't be ashamed is the refrain and metaphor seen throughout the poem. The witch itself is a metaphor for all women. This is asserted by the refrain. At the end of each stanza, the author says, I have been her kind. This shows that the speaker isn't the only woman to not fit into society's standards, and the witch metaphor even suggests that no woman really fits to the mold of what's expected of them. Because all women are different, there's no reason to be ashamed.